In order to get a spot on the boulevard, it's almost like drug sales. You can make a nice six-figure income depending on where you're located on the boulevard. You get guns involved, threats of death involved. It gets pretty bad up there on the boulevard, man. My name is Hodari, and I'm the only one on the planet that does the LA Hood Life and Hip Hop Tour, which is probably one of the coolest tours in all of Hollywood, because this tour takes you all the way down through the hood. I'm sure you heard a lot about South Central. Y'all heard about South Central, right? All the way over in Australia. Did your travel agent tell you not to go there? Well, you know, I take a lot of people on my tour from all over the world, and they always tell me that when they book their tour to Los Angeles, the travel agent told them, look, do not go to East LA, do not go to South Central, because those people over there are fucked up and they're crazy and they'll kill you. I started the hip hop tours about 3 years ago, and that was from going to my son's concerts. You know, I'm thinking it's gonna be a bunch of gangbangers up in there, you know, and they all set tripping and all that. But what it was a bunch of white kids from Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and Bel Air. They show up, they sagging their pants, they know all the words to the song, they talking shit about what it's like growing up in Compton and in South Central, but these guys have never ever been to these places that they hear in the rap songs. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be an excellent idea to give them the opportunity to actually go to some of these places that the rappers are talking about, not only go there, but be safe and be able to jump out and take pictures in Compton and South Central that they could take back home with them. If you want to make it to the top of any business, whether it's tours, whether it's music, whether if it's a dope game, you got to get out there and get your hustle and get your grind on. And that's what my kids learn from. That's what they learn from their parents. I met Lynette, who is probably the sweetest woman on the planet. I met her and we hooked up and exchanged numbers, and we've pretty much been together ever since then. She had a couple of kids, but they were in foster homes. At that time, I think they were about, Sheran was maybe 6 or 7, and Jason, who is also known as The Game, was about 9 years old. He grew up like a lot of kids in the neighborhood that was familiar with NWA, DJ Quick. A lot of times you see those guys, growing up, what's up, man? A lot of times you see those guys growing up as, all right, and his thinking and the thinking of a lot of kids in the neighborhood at the time was, shit, if they can do it, I can do it. And, okay, we gotta, you gotta run into my booth again. You on camera now, man, so don't be cussing at me today. Be on your best behavior. He comes by here every day, man. And I fuck with him.
And you always have something anti-black to say.
Well, no, I fuck with him every day because he's a white dude. I didn't know, and you know you're a white dude.
Look, you're in LA now. Have some class.
All right, that's what I'm trying to do. So I don't know, are you guys familiar with the Rodney King riots? A little bit. How much do they teach you about American culture? You really don't have to learn a lot. That's like when you go to school over here, they don't teach you shit about Australia. It's like, why? Why would you gotta learn something about Australia? A black guy he was on a high-speed chase in his car with the police. His name was Rodney King. Well, generally back during that time, and if you tried to run from the police, when and if they caught you, they would first of all reward the dog, and because there's always gonna be a dog involved, they reward the dog by allowing the dog to chew on you for several minutes. Then maybe about 10 or 15 police officers would proceed to try to break as many bones in your body as possible. Because the police would write in the report, well, the individual fell. He fell off the curb and fractured his skull and broke his ribs and broke pretty much every bone in his body. And it would be accepted as a report. Well, for the first time in history, the police did write that report, but somebody had the wherewithal to actually videotape the activity when they caught Rodney King, and they severely beat him. Well, the police who were actually involved in the beatings were put on trial in 1992. They had an all-white jury. Everybody's expected the officers to be found guilty. Well, much to the amazement of everybody in this city, they were all found not guilty. This is where they pulled the truck driver out of his car, Reginald Denny, and beat him almost to death. And for 3 days solid, the city was pretty much set on fire. And believe me, I got mine too. Over on the right is the infamous or the famous Slauson swap meet. If you've seen the Tupac video, To Live and Die in LA, it was featured in there. The swap meet, if you don't know, is the place where the people in the hood go and get their designer fashion, Fendi, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, but it's pretty much in there, they're all knockoffs. We're gonna turn on Figueroa. It is known as the main hoe stroll through South Central. You guys know what a hoe stroll is, right? Well, a hoe is a woman who sells her body for, a hoe stroll, there you go. For as little as $3. You can have yourself some fun over here on Figueroa. $3 US. But the catch is that it's gonna cost you several thousand to cure yourself of whatever diseases that you may contract while you're over here on Figueroa. You don't see any white people in Compton. They only exist on the police force. When I was doing dirty business in Compton, I had to pay them off every week, and they're not cheap. They start off, depending on what you're doing, they start off at a couple $1,000s a week. I gotta admit that I was probably part of the problem back then too, but now I have reformed myself, and here I am doing the good tours, showing the people what my city is all about.
There's a lot of churches.
Yeah, churches are a business. It's a business venture. So what these guys do, they put on a nice shiny suit and some alligator shoes that are nice and shiny, and they'll get a building that holds 10 people and they'll start a church. Well, it's not that hard to get 10 gullible people to follow you and give you money every Sunday. I am an absolute atheist, or I'm what's called an anti-theist. And not only do I not believe that God exists, but I try to deprogram those who believe in God. Back in the day, at the height of the gang wars and the crack wars and all that, there was so many murders that was going on in the city that the only person that was happy about it was Mr. Adams, who owned the funeral home right around the corner. Well, Mr. Adams, he's getting money right and left because these guys are killing each other. But part of the problem was that when they have funerals down there, the homeboys showed up, whether he was Crip or Blood, they show up, and a lot of times, they on some wet, and they be pissed off and they tear up the funeral home. So Mr. Adams said, fuck this, what I'll do is I'll make a drive-through so they don't even have to come up in here. They just get in a bucket, and I'll make a big window, prop the homie up as he sits, and they just drive through and pay their respects like that. That's the way I want to go on the drive-by. Does anybody have to take a bathroom break?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll go around the corner to my homeboys. No, I'm just kidding. We'll go around the corner to one of the fast food establishments. We're gonna take a bathroom break here up at Kentucky Fried Chicken. The way they serve the chicken is behind a bulletproof glass, because if they do it any other way, it would be murder and mayhem in Kentucky Fried. Could you open the bathroom? Okay, over here on the right-hand side is the boyhood home. Right here in this brown house of Eric Wright, Eazy-E. And right there in the garage, that's where they had the studio garage where they made the first NWA album. And Mr. and Mrs. Wright, his parents, still live there. And every now and then when I come by, they'll be out in the yard and I'll wave and they'll give me the finger like, get the fuck out of here. All right, homeboy, I know you got a pistol in there. Now what you gonna do? Okay, we're now on Greenleaf, which is a very popular street here in Compton, because back in the day, this is where if you had a dead body to dispose of and you had nowhere to put it, you just dump it right here on Greenleaf. We lived over on Willow Street. Seeing running, guys shooting at each other in broad daylight was nothing. What made me realize that it was not safe back then is when I came out and there was some, dead bodies out in front of the house. After that, I realized, hey, this is not really a safe place to raise a family, and from that point, we had to bounce. A lot of guys on the boulevard knows that my son is a very famous rapper. So what they do is they come by and they give me a mixtape.
Better known as Kickstand, the master man. Always going down with a hell of a plan. That's right, when the game get dangerous, I'm the type of motherfucker get scandalous. Wouldn't let us learn to read nor write. Beat us with bullwhips and raped our wives. Sold our children so they could make millions. All of our life we have been misled by the Capitol Hill garbage that we have been fed. It's not in the street where we had to compete, but at the table on the hill intellectually. Word to the people.
Some of them are pretty good, some of them are marginal, but for sure. Out of all these hundreds of kids that come by here that I listen to, maybe, just maybe once, I'll find that diamond in the rough, the one that I think could really make it to the top. Hey, Jada.
Knock, knock, guess who? You know who. Jada G. Stone, Mrs. Antisocial. They seem to get attached to me like that black shit on Spider-Man 3, you dig? But hey, it ain't no biggie cause I own that pussy. Niggas wanna taste, you better withdraw quickly. Cause see, I'm all about that M-O-N-E. Why would you ever think differently, nigga? So if you hear me knocking, come and let me in. Make sure you have my money by the end of the evening.
I stopped having people just spit for me because it gets really monotonous and it interferes with my job. And most of them aren't that good. So what I tell them, I say, well, look, if you got a CD, burn it, honeypot, radio. So immediately I signed her to a management contract. She just did 4 years in jail for robbery. And once I learned the whole history of this girl, it's crazy. And my son's gonna do a feature on one of her records, whether he knows it or not. And he probably doesn't know it, but I'm here to let him know you will do a feature on Jada G's song.
I promise
so
not to
expect
share,
a
nobody.
phone call from me in the very near future.
Man, I've been trying to get a hold of
probably
you, man.
sometime this
I just wanted
afternoon.
to ask you that
so.
one question.
To make a song is like having a kid. You can't tell somebody that their kid is homely looking. The guy, my salesman, he's 30 years old and he still has this dream of getting signed by a major label.
Elegant, stacked deceased presidents, walk and talk like your man's most magnificent, speak so eloquent, never stopping. The way that I come through, lovely, never ugly. A GQ, nitty gritty, Southside, still pretty, gotta love me. It's the wizard.
The gangster shit is really kind of phasing out a little bit. Yeah, it's a lot of violence and it's a lot of negative behavior that is associated with gangster rap music, but that's because it was a lot of violence and negative behavior actually happening. So what they did, they put it to paper and they put it to music. That's all it was. Back during that time, we used to have what's called crack houses. And that meant that you would get an old vacant house, put up a steel door that was almost impenetrable. Don't leave, I gotta talk to you. And you set up your illegal operations where you slinging rocks out of the window. You put a little hole in the door that people put the money in, and you send the products out. The police department with Dale Gates, they realized that, hey, every time we go to one of these houses to bust it, it takes us 15 minutes to get in, and by that time, all the product is flush. We can't never bust these guys with products. They got a big truck, put a pole on it with a ram on the front, and they would just take the tank and run the tank into the wall, bust the whole wall down. And I gotta admit, I was a part of that shit too. You know, I was out there getting my grind on too. I would work all night and sleep during the day. That's when I did my best work at night, when I lived in the hood. At that time, it was all crack cocaine sales. I spent 10 years locked up from 2000 to 2010. I'll show you where my building was right over here. Yeah, it was a crack market. You know, I just opened up at nighttime and the people would come, and you know, this is a whole stroll also in Compton, Long Beach Boulevard. And I service the hoes on the boulevard. Yeah, they stay cranked up and they give you, you know, they bring you customers, and you know, they're kind of like a filter to keep you from doing business with undercover, all that, because they are the go-between. The hoes serve the community because they are like the, you know, whenever the old man needs to have him some fun, here come the hoes. You know, they have their place too in society.
Do they have HIV cards?
Nah, man, the hoes don't need HIV cards over there. You just, you know, anytime you pick up a hoe, just don't pick up a skinny one, because the skinny ones are more sickly. You got to get one that's nice and thick and healthy. Oh, there's some hoes. Well, we got a couple of hoes. That's the pimp on the bicycle over there. What's up, baby? They think we the police, so they don't want to talk to us. I don't know if that's somebody following us or what, but I didn't bring a strap or anything, so hopefully we'll be all right.
Is this where OJ lived?
I remember when they were chasing OJ. He ran past the 91 freeway, and I remember I ran outside to watch and to take pictures of the OJ low-speed chase. When I was working at Chippendales as a dancer way back in the early 80s, I met him a couple times, and he's an asshole, for real. Me and Game's mom, we started a male exotic club. What we used to do, we used to get guys that's just come fresh out of jail. You know, they was buffed up and they needed money. A lot of these guys can't go and fill out an application and get a job, but hey, if they look good, they've been working out, we put them on, man. We get them, we get them $1,000 a week dancing. Jayceon danced there maybe twice, and 50 Cent will not let him forget it. And somehow, somebody got pictures of him dancing in that club with his G-string on, and boy, boy, boy. Whether he likes it or not, I'll tell him the truth, because just like most people that have achieved a certain amount of fame and fortune, that comes with the sycophants or the ass kissers, because they're around all the time to say, yes, yes, you're the greatest thing, because most of the time they're on the payroll. But, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not on the payroll, so I can tell you exactly what I think. And if that makes you mad, then sometimes it does, then so be it. Money changes everybody. If you win the lottery tomorrow, and you win $100 million, you can't be the same person you were when you were broke. You know, you got to develop a whole new set of friends, because the old friends, a lot of times they're resentful, they're jealous, and that's just like, you know, just like him. All right, guys, right here is Martin Luther King, and in every single city, at least in a city where you have over 5 black people, there's a Martin Luther King Boulevard. And anytime you go to Martin Luther King Boulevard, that's where those 5 people live, black people live. And it's unfortunate, but if you go to a city and you want anything illegal, some drugs or whatever, you just say, hey, where's Martin Luther King Boulevard? We got the infamous speed bumps that they put out to discourage the drive-bys. Back in the days.
Where's the best place to eat around here?
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. As a matter of fact, from what I understand, that's one of the last places that Biggie ate, at the Roscoe's right over on Gower and Sunset. I've been out that night partying with a friend of mine that was in town, and we decided to go to Roscoe's. At the table sitting a couple tables away was Tisha Campbell from the Martin Show. And I remember she got a phone call at her table on her cell phone, and all of a sudden she just started screaming, they killed Biggie, they killed Biggie. And I'm like, whoa, what happened? And I subsequently learned that Biggie had just got killed that night. I had a stolen credit card one time, and they were the only ones that would take it for about a month straight. I ate Roscoe's on that stolen credit card. It's a lot easier to get caught up, you know, when you grow up in the hood, man. You got the problem of the law enforcement being an adversary. You know, they talk shit to you. Where you going, nigga? What are you doing? You know, and you just expect the worst. It's something that you got to teach your kids, because you have to tell them, look, when the police pulls you over, what you got to do, make sure your hands are visible. Make sure that you don't make any sudden moves, because they're going to use that as an excuse to do something to you.
Where you was from?
In the feds, yeah, I was in the feds.
Oh, yeah. You guys get to still smoke cigarettes?
No, I didn't smoke a cigarette for 10 years until I got out.
Yeah.
And got me a double shot of cognac, then I was like over with. So I tell my kids this all the time. Whenever I'm parting from them, I say goodbye. And remember this, always do the right thing unless the wrong thing is absolutely necessary. Boom.